Welcome to Azure Data Explorer Shorts. I am Vincent with the Azure Data Explorer team. Today we're going to cover easy ingestion, or ingestion made easy with one-click ingestion. Let's first walk through the example we're going to do today. We're going to take some data from data.gov, some data about electric cars. We're going to just copy the URL from there, and we're going to pass the URL to one-click ingestion in Azure Data Explorer Web UI experience. And like that, we're going to ingest the data in Azure Data Explorer, and we're going to be able to explore the data and find insights about it. Without further ado, let's get started. So this is the data.gov page. We found the electric vehicle title and registration activity. Of course, the URL will be available in the description section of this video. We scroll down a little, we see a couple of file format for that data. Okay, see comma separated value, CSVs, RDF, JSON, XML. So JSON and CSV would be fine for Azure Data Explorer. I'm going to go with CSV today. So instead of downloading it, I'm just going to click and copy the link, and I'm going to jump to Azure Data Explorer Web UI. By default, we always go into the query mode, but if we expand this pane on the left-hand side, we see that we have data, query, and dashboards. We look at data today. This is basically the one-click ingestion landing page. Essentially, those are wizards to accelerate ingestion in Data Explorer. Let's scroll down, find ingest data from local files. That's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to look at cluster, current database, fine. I'm going to create a new table to receive those. I'm going to call the table cars. So you see that wizard is taking care of everything for me. So next, the source, I'm going to paste the URL I just copied from the data.gov page. I'm going to click open. Although that file is only 200 megs, for some reason it's quite long to download. So we show you an accelerated version here. Next, I'm going to click Schema. So here we can see that the one-click ingestion already looked at the file and deduced a couple of things. It tells me it's going to ignore the first record because those are the column headers. It already deduced the types of the columns and the name. And we can change those, and that's why we look at this here. Just to give an example, I'm going to do a few changes. So for instance, if I look for model year, it's a long. It detected a long. I'm going to change it to an integer. And if I look a bit further, I see here is zip. And here I'm going to change the name of the column to zip code. I can even have a sneak peek of what it's going to do on my behalf. I'm going to create a table with all those columns. And it's going to create a mapping, which we won't dive into today. And then I'm done. I'm going to click next. And what it does here, it did prepare the data. It queued the data, and it's now ingesting it. So this is using queued ingestion or managed ingestion that we've seen in the previous video. And it's ingesting those 200 megs of data inside my dev cluster. Finally, it's giving me a little preview there. And that's it. I'm done. If I can go back to querying. Okay, so let's get rid of the left pane navigation. So I should have a cars table. If I look at it, this is the data that just got ingested. I want to look at number of columns, 500,000 columns about. So first thing I notice is that there's a make, like the maker of the car. So maybe one interesting query would be to look at the cars and how many cars available by make and render that as a pie chart. You can see clearly very quickly the dominant players on the market. It would be interesting to look at the data as a time series. So let's first look at the range of the transaction year. So when those transactions are recorded. So it goes from 2010 to 2021. So that's great. So maybe it would be interesting to look at the evolution of the pie chart we just looked at. We look at the transactions over all the years. Now it would be interesting to look at it over time. So let's do that. For that, I'm going to create an artificial column and call transaction date. I'm doing that because I'm going to use a time chart and it requires date time column. So I'm taking this transaction year. I do that. That will not work because it's just a number. So I'm going to simply concatenate transaction year with -01-01. So January 1st, that year. I'm going to summarize. I'm going to call that column cardinality. And I'm going to summarize by make and by transaction date. Finally, render that as time chart. Okay, now we got something. Now we can see the evolution of the market. So we can see that Nissan is kind of plateauing here, Tesla is rocketing, Chevrolet is evolving, and all the other players. We'll stop here. The point was to show how quickly we could take data from the internet and ingest it into ADX and get into insight within minutes. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Otherwise, please follow us on those social media platforms. And until next time.